think just starting my company and then getting to the point where I could move it full time was huge. So no longer getting a paycheck and working for someone else and really just being in charge of my own business and my own success. I think it just required a different mindset. And it was scary at first for sure, but just seeing how things have gone in the past, 13 years, it's been such an amazing journey that I would recommend for anyone.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thanks, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thanks.com. That's THANKZ.com with the subject line A Founder's Life, and you'll get $1,000 off your first month. Now, I'm excited today to be joined by Amelia Forczak. Amelia, thanks for joining. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am the founder of Pithy Wordsmithery, and we help people write, market, and publish their books. I'm a New York Times bestselling ghostwriter. I've written, I think, 17 books at this point, and I just love helping people tell their story.
Love that. Yes, if I'm going to launch a book at some point, which I probably will, I won't be writing it myself. That's definitely not my skill set. And talk to us a little bit about your journey that led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I always wanted to write books ever since I was little. My mom was a librarian when I was growing up. Went to school for journalism, and I wanted to figure out just how to do more writing. And when I was graduating, it wasn't the best time to go into newspapers. And so I ended up going into marketing, and my CEO got a book deal, which we thought as marketers was a great opportunity. But him being a very busy CEO didn't have a lot of time to write the book. So I volunteered to help, and it ended up becoming a New York Times bestseller. And I realized that was what I wanted to do. And I could see a path for helping people in the same way. And so I started building my company on the side. And that was, 13 years ago. And it's just been a great journey. And so now we've got a team of people, and we provide all the services that a traditional publishing house would provide. And we do book coaching and editing. So really helping authors with a start to finish service.
Love that. And are the typically first-time authors, I assume?
Yeah, a lot of them are. And so people will come to us and they'll say, people tell me I should write a book. I don't know what that looks like. Or sometimes people say, I wrote a book and I need some work. And so we get people who are at all different phases in the journey. And if they're trying to, figure out what they should write about and what makes sense for their target market and their goals, we can help with that. And we work with a lot of people who are doing how-to books. So they have some kind of platform and some sort of niche knowledge that they want to share to help readers. And so we help them figure out what the structure should be like, the table of contents, the outline, that kind of thing. But sometimes we do get authors who have written a book before and they want to make it easier the next time around. Or they say, my first book, I wish I would have done it this way, or I wish I would have thought about this or that. And so we can help them get a better outcome with this.
Sounds like a good plan. Tell me what family means to you.
Family's everything, right? And so the whole entrepreneurship journey, one thing that drew me to it was the flexibility to be able to spend more time with my family. And it wouldn't mean going into an office 9 to 5 and having to work within a certain number of vacation days or anything like that. And so I think I've always seen entrepreneurship as a path to having freedom and spending more time with family. And so I love to just go on vacations with my daughter, who's 7, and be able to leave work early at 3 or 4 and pick her up right after school. So that's something that I have just made a habit while she's little. I feel like I don't have that much time, while she's still this small. And so I want to be able to be there for her. And that's provides a great life balance for me.
Right, they definitely grow up fast. Mine are now 20 and 22.
Big kids.
Yes. They're always kids, but big kids.
Yeah.
And what do you like to do for health?
I love to do CrossFit. I know this has it can be a little culty or whatever, but I like CrossFit. I like to go to the noon workout classes. So again, that's something that entrepreneurship has made easy for me, where I'm I want to take a break in the middle of the day and go to a workout class and come back. I do that, and I like to go for runs. And so I also like to walk the dogs. I have one behind me. I don't know if you could see her, but I walk her, and that keeps me very active overall.
Lovely. I've never actually done CrossFit. I go to the gym a lot, and I'm a big runner. So running, I definitely do a lot of.
Yeah, CrossFit's fun. I had never really been comfortable with barbells and lifting, and CrossFit taught me how to lift things in a safe way and actually be able to pick up like over 200 pounds, which something about that feels amazing. I think especially as a woman to be like, I am strong, I can do this. And so I really like that over the years.
Yeah, although I've got to say, I've been working with a trainer recently in the gym, and I've been lifting actually much lighter weights than I was before, but actually getting much more exhausted. So, the difference with, and I get with CrossFit and with all weightlifting, there can be, sort of that ego lifting of the number always feels good.
Yeah.
But I've been noticing, like with this trainer, I barely move afterwards, and I'm probably lifting half the weight than I was before. So it's always interesting that if you can really refine that form, the difference it makes.
Yeah, and the high rep stuff is huge. That can be definitely exhausting. You're lifting like 20 or 30 pounds, but you're doing it like over 100 times. Absolutely, you're going to feel it.
I'll have to give it a try. And what do you like to do for fun?
I love to travel. I think that's probably my biggest thing. I went to Nicaragua a couple weeks ago. That was such an interesting trip. I've been to Mexico like 3 times in the past year. I really got into the whole Mexico. I don't know. There's just so many different things to see there. Like between Cabo and Tulum and Mexico City, it was like 3 completely different experiences in one country. And so the flight is just so easy from Chicago. But yeah, I love to travel whenever I can. I love to check out new restaurants and spend time with my daughter and just enjoy,
So where are some of the favorite places you've been to, except for the ones you just mentioned? Where else have you loved visiting?
Yeah, last summer I went to Greece, and that's definitely one of my favorite places I've ever been. I flew into Athens and then we went to Crete, and it was just gorgeous. All the people are so nice. It was really easy to get around. Everybody speaks English. It wasn't too expensive, and it was just such a lovely time. I also studied abroad in Italy, and so I loved Italy. Spain is really great. I just like new experiences. I think that's like a little adventure, something new.
And how does a balanced life look for you overall?
So in the books that I've written for people, which I do like a lot of leadership books, people talk about how work-life balance is a myth. And I think that's a great point because it's never balanced. It's more of like an ebb and flow. And so I think having the flexibility to do that, where sometimes you're busier at work and you know that you need to put in more time towards something that's important. And then when you don't have that, being able to flex and take more time off and more vacations. And so I've been really working hard at not overextending myself and being at bandwidth for work, because that just makes it harder to find that like the time off to enjoy and recharge. So trying not to do too many things, trying to delegate something that most of us can probably work on a little bit, right?
And I'd agree there's no such thing, unless you're a monk, of being in perfect balance. But for me, I often describe the balance as that center line. So yes, at some point you're working more, some point you're family more, some point you're doing different things, but it's what's that center line of balance look like? So it's an overall finding the right mix. Whereas I was talking to someone on the podcast recently, and for him, balance was he works ridiculously hard because his kids have left home, but then he'll go away for a week and he's able to switch off. So for him, that was his balance. It sort of depends, but it's overall finding that balance.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you've done that very well too, right? You're doing this interview from Portugal, and so you're right on the same, like you travel and spend time with the kids and all that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm enjoying the digital nomad journey, and I think I've got a good balance. I often work very hard, as we all do, as that's the entrepreneurial journey. But, I think it's important to spend time with my kids. Health is very important. I work out a lot, I run a lot, I spend time outside. And I think that's all part of that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it can definitely be lived. And what for you has been a pivotal moment in your life?
I think just starting my company and then getting to the point where I could move it full time was huge. So no longer getting a paycheck and working for someone else and really just being in charge of my own business and my own success. I think it just required a different mindset. And it was scary at first for sure, but just seeing how things have gone in the past, 13 years, it's been such an amazing journey that I would recommend for anyone.
And what would you give as one piece of advice for an aspiring entrepreneur?
Oh my God, there are so many things. One thing that in the past couple years I've been working on a ton was systematizing. And I never really had done that in the beginning because I was more of a solopreneur. And I'm not an operations mindset sort of person, right? I'm more of I love marketing and sales and I love the big picture stuff, but the actual, what are the tasks that need to get done in this order and the instructions? I had never really written any of that down. And I ended up working with an operations consultant and it changed my life. All of the little things that we were doing, we created instructions on how to do them and we saved them on our G Drive so that everybody can access them. And we got project management software and everything. If you're going to do it more than once, there's instructions on how to do it. And it's all linked with video tutorials or written instructions or both so that people who learn differently can access it. And it's made things so much better for scaling because I think I was having a lot of trouble with onboarding people and turnover. And that was always a thing that made me afraid to scale even more just because it was so much work. And I realized I hadn't set myself up to make it easy. And once I did that, it really just opened the doors for expanding the business and then just me needing to manage fewer things. So if any entrepreneurs who are out there, I would say whenever you're working on something that you think you might need to do again or explain to someone again, write it down quickly as you're thinking through it. And AI makes it so easy now too, right? But if you have all that set up, it will save you so much time later.
And talking about AI, so how is that affecting you with your work in terms of, do you actively use it to help?
Yeah, I think AI is really exciting and it's not something that's going away. And in the beginning, I think it was a lot of writers were saying, we don't need that. It's not good enough. It's, I think we all need to come to the realization that it's here to stay and it's getting better. And you need to figure out how to use it to save yourself time and not compromise the quality. So there are certain things that AI can help with a lot, like idea generation, giving you feedback. And so it's not necessarily just writing things for you, although for some things it is good for writing. But I think becoming good at using AI and then being able to think critically about what it gives you and instead of just dropping that in and using it is huge. It's like a thinking partner.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good it would be with a whole book, but I use it for my blogs and things like that. But it's not about, I don't say write a blog about this topic. I'm write a blog about this topic and first review all the blogs I've written before and ask me questions one by one to really understand how I want this to look and understand my opinion. So, I think it's all about how you talk to it to make it be in your voice. And then, yes, for you, I'm sure then you need to edit everything anyway.
Yeah, I think you're using it to make writing faster. And we're all for that because we want to help authors get across the finish line. We do ghostwriting. We also do book coaching and we help people self-publish. And you really just want people to be able to get their thoughts on paper in some way. And so if they're able to use AI to do that, that's super helpful. And so I definitely coach authors on how to do that. And a lot of our clients who are writing their own books are leveraging AI in their chapters during that process. One great way to do it is when we have coaching calls, we have transcribing it and they can take that transcription, download it, put it into AI. And so you have rough notes on what we just talked about, the feedback on all these chapters as we're having this conversation where we're saying, that's a great story. Let's actually move that to the beginning. Okay, then we need a transition. So we're talking through the whole plan for the chapter. And then you're basically having AI do your busy work to some extent because you have all the notes that you could sit down and spend a bunch of time doing it yourself. But if you can have AI do that for you and then you edit it, because it's taking things that are already in your own words, it's so much faster. And so we're definitely seeing more of our authors be able to move through the book creation process and actually cross the finish line.
Makes a lot of sense. And then, in the end, someone like you still needs to edit it and make it sound good.
Yeah, everyone needs an editor. So I don't know. I guess I love AI. I think it's exciting. And so I encourage people to use it if they think it's helpful. There's no point in being too proud to to like dabble in it, right?
Well, thank you. I loved hearing this. And how can people find you?
Yeah, so my company's called Pithy Wordsmithery, and it's pithywordsmithery.com. We're on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn, so Amelia Forczak, and we've got YouTube tutorials. We've got all kinds of things. So if you're interested in writing a book or you want to chat about anything related to publishing, book marketing, check us out online.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and please leave a review.